On this channel, we provide useful programming information with practical code examples. This time, it's about CSS properties related to layout. You can learn various examples, such as when the display property is set to inline block or inline flex, or when the position property is set to relative or absolute. Enabling subtitles will make the code descriptions easier to understand. Please make use of it. First, let's look at the display property. The display property is a CSS property that defines how the element is displayed. It determines in what format the element is rendered, such as block, inline, flex, grid, or hidden. By specifying block, the element is displayed as a block-level element. Block elements are displayed on a new line within the page, moving other elements to the next line. Typical block elements include div, p, h1, section, article, etc. By specifying inline, the element is displayed as an inline element. Inline elements are displayed on the same line as neighboring elements and are aligned horizontally. Typical inline elements include span, strong, etc. Inline elements are placed on the same line as other inline elements and are displayed continuously horizontally, unlike block elements. Specifying inline block displays the element as an inline element, but it also possesses block element characteristics. Inline block elements are displayed on the same line as other inline elements, but you can set height and width like block elements. IMG, button, and canvas elements behave like inline block by default. Specifying none makes the element not displayed. The element becomes completely invisible and is excluded from both the screen and the layout. Specifying flex displays the element as a flexbox container. It is used to flexibly arrange and align child elements, flex items. Using flexbox allows child elements to be displayed inline, with margins and alignment automatically adjusted. We will explain more about flex and grid in other videos. Specifying inline flex displays the element as an inline flexbox container. While possessing flexbox characteristics, it is treated like an inline element and displayed on the same line as other elements. Specifying grid displays the element as a grid container. A grid layout can be applied to line up child elements in rows and columns. child elements within the grid container are neatly arranged along columns and rows. Specifying inline grid displays the element as an inline grid container. It uses the grid layout system and is treated as an inline element. Specifying table displays the element as a table. It has a layout similar to HTML table, and its child elements are treated as table cells. As in this example, set the display property of child elements to table row or table cell. When table row is specified, the element behaves like a table row, tr. When table cell is specified, the element behaves like a table cell, td. Specifying list item displays the element as a list item. It is applied to li elements typically used within UL or OL. Next, let's look at the position property. Position is a property that controls how elements are positioned in CSS. This property can be used to position elements relative or absolute to their parent or other elements, or to fix them in place. In the static element class, position is specified as static. The element is positioned in the normal flow. Static is the default value. If position is not specified, static is applied. The element is positioned according to the normal document flow. The top, right, bottom, left properties cannot be used. In the relative element class, position is set to relative. The element moves relative to its normal position. In this example, it is positioned 10 px down and 20 px to the right. Specifying relative positions the element relative. The element moves from its original position to the position specified by the top, right, bottom, left properties following the normal document flow. An element set to relative positioning leaves space at its original position even after moving. In this example, the element moves 10 pixels down and 20 pixels right from its original position, but the document flow is processed based on the original position. In the absolute element class, position is set to absolute. In this example, the element is positioned 10 pixels down and 20 pixels to the right from the top left corner of its parent, or the viewport. When absolute is specified, the element is positioned absolutely relative to its parent. If the parent element's position is set to relative, absolute, or fixed, the element moves based on that parent using top, right, bottom, left properties. If no parent element is found, it is positioned relative to the entire page, viewport. An element set to absolute positioning is removed from the normal document flow and does not affect other elements. In the fixedElement class, position is set to fixed. Specifying fixed positions the element at a fixed location. The element is fixed to the viewport and does not move when scrolling. For example, it is used to keep a page header or navigation bar always visible. In this example, the element is fixed to the bottom right corner of the screen and stays there even when the page is scrolled. In the stickyElement class, position is set to sticky. When sticky is specified, the element is dynamically positioned according to scrolling. It follows the normal document flow, but when the page is scrolled, the element becomes stuck at a specific position based on the specified top, right, bottom, and left values. Sticky behaves like a fixed element within a certain range. In this example, the element is displayed in its normal position, but when the page is scrolled to the specified top position, it sticks to that position and follows scrolling. Top, left, bottom, and right are properties for controlling element positions in CSS. These properties are used together with the position property to specify how much to move an element in a certain direction relative to its position. However, these properties only apply when position is set to relative, absolute, fixed, or sticky. In the default static value, these properties have no effect. The top property specifies how far an element should be offset from the top. In this example, the element moves 20 px down from its normal position. The left property specifies how far an element should be offset from the left. In this example, the element moves 50 px to the right from the left. The bottom property specifies how far an element should be offset from the bottom. In this example, the element is fixed 10 px above the bottom of the screen. It remains in that position even when scrolling. The right property specifies how far an element should be offset from the right. In this example, during scrolling, the element moves 20 px left from the right and is fixed at that position. Top, left, bottom, and right are properties used to control the position of elements, used in conjunction with the position property. The relationship with the position property is as follows. Relative moves the element by the specified top, left, bottom, right values relative to its normal position. Absolute moves the element to the specified top, left, bottom, right location relative to the nearest ancestor with position set to relative, absolute, or fixed. Fixed fixes the element at the specified position relative to the viewport, the entire screen. It remains in that position even when scrolling. Sticky. The element remains in its normal position until it reaches a specified position during scrolling, at which point it sticks at that position. The source code for this video can be downloaded from the official website. If you like, please visit the URL in the description to aid your learning. I hope this video helps improve your programming life. By subscribing to the channel, we can deliver more useful information to you.